introduction. My name is Jian Wang. I'm associate professor at our Department of Information Systems. This talk is about one of our NSF-funded projects to do big data and data science related training. It's part of the cyber training program. NSF at the Office of Advanced Cyber Infrastructure Office. They have this cyber training program is ongoing for many years, and we are funded from the first round. We have collaborators from 3 departments because we have three disciplines. Let me move on. So you can see from this Venn diagram, we are thinking how big data science can actually work with other disciplines. In this project, we choose mathematical fact science because it's a big data domain. They have a lot of simulation data and a lot of observation data. HPC is the backend resources where we can run things in parallel and efficiently. So that to us it's a very good way to connect these 3 areas. So in this particular project, we focus on how we can apply big data technology to the mathematical science and also use HPC, high performance computing as the computing resources to run things in parallel efficiently. So it covers instruction. Have 2 main parts. One is the training part where we do the team building and we give some background knowledge because, for example, for people who are doing data science, they don't know much about mathematical science. So we need to. It's a semester-long program, and it's 15 weeks. And the first 10 weeks we are doing more for training for them to know the other areas. And then it's the 5 weeks of the faculty guided projects to do some research. The actual research might start early on, but the last 5 weeks are mostly focused on research. So the participants for that mostly graduate students, postdoc and junior faculty are all around the nation to be post for it. We are doing it by design. It's for online training. Even was funded before the pandemic, we were thinking the online training. So this is the training modules. We have, as I mentioned, we have 15 weeks in total for the program each year. And you can see from these modules, we have first 3 are about high performance computing, how you go to a cluster and be able to run things there and run in parallel through MPI. And the module 4 to module 6 are more mathematical fact science. What are the fundamental problems in this domain? Why it is connected with high performance computing and data science? Starting module 7 to module 10, these 4 modules are about big data and machine learning. How Spark, Hadoop, those systems can work with data sets in the climate science. And the deep learning is the one we added in the middle of the project because we find more and more students, they are interested in this and they can be applied with our applications. So starting week 11, we have 5 weeks focus on research. And because the first 10 weeks, we already started the team building, they already know how to work with each other and have some types of assignments, a type of a role of how to can work on continue with that setup for the research. These are some selected projects we conducted. For each of it, we have a report and a presentation and corresponding codes on GitHub. We can say that all of them are related with one particular mathematical science problem, and the problem are from it. But we use different technologies. Most of them are machine learning, but some of them are more on the parallel benchmarking, where you can do things in parallel. And they are all a little bit different. Each project is different from others, but because they are all related with mathematical science, we can learn from each other. Different teams can learn from each other. So we train the mechanism. We all based on teams, and it's from we typically have a team of 3, and one from each discipline. One from computer science or information systems, another one from math, who are most applied math on HPC side, one from physics or arithmetic science. Then we do that. We have assignments, homework to ask the team to do assignments and learn from our lectures, and through that we do the team building. So then they are prepared to do the research. Starting week 11, we have this one faculty mentor. We lead that team to do the research, what problem we are solving, and every week we go through this presentation, and everyone can give feedback. And that we also have TA to support for particular technical challenges. Starting year 2 and year 3, they are all online, because year 1 we are preparing that we are more locally. Year 2 and year 3, they're all online, and even we had pandemic, we didn't have any disruption. So some results. We are finishing this project. This is the last 2 months left for this project. We did 3 rounds of training, and we trained 58 participants. Some are faculty members, some are scientists, most are graduate students, and we also have 6 undergraduates through our REU supplements. Together we formed 18 teams, and we are also trying to address the female representation in the STEM disciplines by having relatively female participants, same number of female and male participants. So we are more or less equal among female and male participants. And we generated 18 technical reports. Each report have its own open source codes, and we have 21 peer-reviewed papers published, and we still have something ongoing, still working on. Also including 3 master theses. Right now all the trainings are done, but when looking back, we have I think with some participants, they changed their career. At least they are exposed to some disciplines they never know before. And for example, one faculty member, they changed their lab from their traditional, I think it's about pollution related. Now they call his lab is pollution with AI for their lab title, because they think AI can help more and more for his research. Another person, she was doing mostly on the climate. Now because she knows AI now and data science, and she able to use that for her research. Recently found a faculty position at a good university. Some discussion parts, because this 3 disciplines, each discipline is very broad, so we cannot cover all the areas in these 3 disciplines. And what we did is to find a narrow connected topics. If you look back with the modules, they are connected when we design it. When we have later modules, we can use earlier modules to run it. For example, we have the climate simulation. We can use MPI learned earlier to run it. And when we have the machine learning part, we can already apply the observation data from the climate science to try some the machine learning algorithms. And we want to demonstrate the power of multidisciplinary work, and through the training and research, there are a narrow path of connected topics. And we also use the flipped classroom for online training. We did this in the year 2, starting year 2, because we have recorded videos from year 1. So we use them to let the participant to watch it ahead of time. And when we meet every week, Friday, in asynchronous meetings, we most discuss it. We first discuss their homework and how they solve it, and let them present it, and then we can compare each other how they did it differently. For the first year, without a flipped regular lecture teaching, we don't have time to explain the homework, because that's the most time is for the lecture part. But with flipped classroom, we have more communication among the teams, so they can present their work and also learn from others. I think we did well is to be able to let people know about other disciplines, and the for many of them, they never know other ways, other disciplines before it. And then we had good collaborations ongoing after it. And some of them they did by themselves. Some of them we are still getting involved. I think we, in that perspective, we achieved what we wanted for this program. I think almost end of my presentation, we have actually 2 papers on particular educational parts, how more about our this program, how we can did it, how we design it. That's the EDU HPC 17 paper, how we design it at that time. And the 2020 paper, the second one, is how we actually did it, and it's more reflection how we did it, what we achieved, and how things worked well. The last thing I want to talk 1 minute is based on the experience we did with cyber training, now it's 4 years project, and we build on top of that. We now have a new program as NSF REU site program. It's for next 3 years, and it's a very similar mechanism we will apply for this REU set. The only difference is the participants changed from the undergraduate above, now it's most it's on undergraduates. Also, we expand the application domain from not just numerical science, but now it's for all science and engineering. So we will pick topics for every year and form teams, and also we still do some training, and we ask them to do research. And the topic will be like say medicine, might be mechanical engineering. So we are broadening the area we can apply to. So we are starting our this year's RU next week, and we're doing for the next for the 3 years. I think that's the end of my talk. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. This is a really great program, and how you started and put it together. I love that there's papers. Would you be willing to put the links for the papers into the Etherpad?
Sure, I will do it.
That'd be great. Is there any questions, Juan, about this program and how they set it up?
I'll stop sharing. So, any questions?
Any questions? If not, you can also put your questions in the Etherpad if you think of them, after this short window of time. And if you look in there, you can answer the questions directly there too. So we can move on and talk to our next speaker and start with Joyce Malyn-Smith, who is with us, who is an expert on STEM career development and workforce education, and specifically looks at a body of work that explores how people develop skills and knowledge in and out of school. So she's going to be talking about tools for developing new data pathways in community colleges. So Joyce, you want to introduce yourself and go ahead.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Joyce Malyn-Smith, and I'm Principal Investigator of the Mentoring New Data Pathways Project, a part of EDC's Oceans of Data Institute. Today's presentation will focus on tools for developing new data pathways in community colleges. The tools presented today are products of a partnership between EDC's Oceans of Data Institute and Bunker Hill, Johnson County, Normandale, and Sinclair community colleges through 2 projects funded by the National Science Foundation's ATE program. In creating pathways for big data careers, our 4 partner colleges developed new data programs at their institutions using the profile of the data practitioner and the tools for building a big data career path, both of which aided the colleges in developing their programs. In mentoring new data pathways, 3 of our college partners return as mentors, guiding a new set of colleges through a revised data pathway development process. We've also convened an online community of practice to share our tools and experiences with an even wider audience. This is the 6-point data pathway development process that we're using to guide our work and the outline for today's presentation. While we'll introduce each, we won't have time to discuss them in great detail, but we'll share how you can access them for yourself at the end of the session. Our first step in the plan is to organize the team. The most effective college teams include at least 1 representative from each stakeholder group, individuals with decision-making authority, and those demonstrating a strong interest or commitment to building a data-focused career pathway. Step 2 is to work with colleges to explore how they can inventory their assets and connect their offerings to the local labor market. 2 tools help with that process: a building blocks template and the local labor market assessment. The building blocks template provides a means to inventory existing and planned programs, certificates, degrees, and supportive activities that all can be used to develop a data pathway. On this tool, faculty would list the titles of any 1 or 2 year programs and certificate programs in place or planned. They list courses and course numbers, the number of credits, any prerequisites necessary for enrollment. The template will also collect the job titles that this program prepares graduates for, and the names of companies and contact information for employers actively supportive of the program. This tool provides a landscape view of what's already in place across the college and what might be planned to build on existing programs and courses. The local labor market assessment plays an important role in the decisions that colleges need to make regarding the extent and type of education and training needed by local employers. This will ensure that college training programs prepare students for jobs that will exist when they graduate, and provides a rationale for the development of new courses and programs. The best methods for gathering current local labor market information lie in direct engagement of local employers, such as by administering an online survey of local employers, convening 1 or more focus groups of local businesses, human resource managers, and/or interviewing targeted employers. Useful information to be gathered through a local labor market assessment include job types and job titles that a school's career pathway will prepare graduates to fill, current numbers of openings for those jobs, projected number of future openings for those jobs over an extended time, wages for entry-level personnel, opportunities for career advancement, minimum level of education, skills, knowledge, and certifications required for employment, and data worker skills and knowledge that are emerging across multiple industry sectors. Step 3 is to work with local industry using a common language to clarify and understand the skills, knowledge, and dispositions needed in the local marketplace. At the center of this work is the profile of the data practitioner, which was developed through conversations with frontline data workers who were considered by their colleagues to be experts in their fields. The profile was then validated nationally by additional data practitioners. They defined the work of the middle-skilled data practitioner in this way: the data practitioner, in service of an organization and/or stakeholders, supports the data life cycle by collecting, transforming, and analyzing data, and communicating results in order to inform and guide decision-making. The profile describes a universe of 64 tasks that would be performed by a middle-skilled data practitioner. No one person is likely to be responsible for all of these tasks. However, when used for curriculum development, it describes what might be included in a well-developed, robust curriculum leading to data careers. One of the strengths of the profile is its specificity in using verbs. The tasks include things like determines data structure, merges data, creates new data, performs data mining, articulates conclusions, conducts causality testing. These are key to developing curriculum that reflects what successful middle-skilled workers need to know when what they're expected to be able to do. So, armed with the profile, the school development team then needs to organize a bit more before reaching out to local employers. With the employer engagement plan, the team will review and select the goals and action steps that are relevant and needed to their specific situation. The team then completes the planning template by identifying for each action who holds primary responsibility for seeing that it's completed, who else needs to be involved, what resources, materials, and guidance are needed to complete it successfully, and a deadline for completing it. What are the benefits? The employer engagement plan provides a comprehensive approach towards enlisting employer support for a data pathway. It offers strategic options that can be used or modified, and it provides a means of organizing and monitoring employer engagement efforts. Step 4 explores the gap between what employers expect of their workers and what the school produces in its graduates. The gap analysis tool is used to facilitate a discussion between school administrators, faculty, and employers about the gap between the data skills addressed by existing courses and programs and the data skills employers expect of their workers. This tool helps employers prioritize work tasks of middle-skilled data practitioners and helps colleges align their curricula to specific employer priorities. Employers review the profile of the data practitioner and then rate each task according to whether their frontline middle-skilled workers need to be familiar with the task, perform the task under supervision, or perform the task independently and lead others in performing the task. College partners review the profile against their curricula to determine if students are expected to know the task, expected to practice the task, or master the task in their courses. Then finally, the college and employer scores are analyzed and the gap is determined. Depending on the outcome, colleges add or remove tasks from their curricula and or make adjustments in the performance level outcome to match employer expectations. After working through these activities, colleges are ready for step 5, developing their vision and defining their data pathway. 3 tools facilitate that process: the curriculum analysis matrix, the stackable credentials model, and performance-based rubrics. The curriculum analysis matrix helps colleges identify where each task is taught within their programs and the performance level expected in various courses. If adding tasks to the curricula, it helps them determine where in the program course sequence a specific topic or task should be included. This tool also helps colleges review tasks and performance levels to identify and/or create strong task-based learning progressions, and to identify where learning is sporadic and not well organized into a smooth learning progression. The stackable credentials model helps colleges, college partners, and students visualize the entry and exit points of pathways to data careers. As a model, it helps colleges visualize and explain how their data degree program, certificate program, or workforce development micro courses and credentials fit into their larger data workforce development strategy. Rubrics tied to the duties and tasks identified in the profile of the data practitioner and locally validated through the gap analysis tool can be used as teaching tools and assessment guidelines. These performance-based rubrics provide examples of what the data practitioner work tasks look like in practice in the workplace. Level 3 of the rubrics define what employers identify as their expectations for the proficient data practitioner. In step 6, colleges formalize their strategic plan by developing their proposals for a new course or program to be submitted to their college's curriculum committee. The planning template includes a set of guide questions and a template to record a school's strategy for developing the data program that specifies anticipated actions, responsibilities, and deadlines. It helps manage a program development process by assigning responsibilities and due dates. We would like to thank our college partners, Bunker Hill in Massachusetts, Sinclair in Ohio, Normandale in Minnesota, and Johnson County in Kansas for helping us develop and test this 6-step process. Many of the resources presented today and others are available to download from the ODI website. We also encourage anyone working to develop a data program at 2-year institutions to join our community of practice to learn more about our project, the data pathway development process, and to connect and learn from colleagues. On behalf of
All right, there you go.
I'm going to stop sharing that. On behalf of all of us, I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to present today. And I wanted to just mention that that was a lot of information to go through. I really wanted to be able to have people become aware of the different tools that have been developed by our college partners and tested out through them. So I deliberately pre-recorded the session to make sure that I could get through all of the information in a short amount of time, and I wasn't able to leave anything out. So thank you very much, and I hope that if you have any other questions, you can ask them now or contact us later. I've created a slide deck that Renata has that she can share with you that has all of the active links to the resources that I talked about during this presentation.
So
that was going to be my next question, which is, can you put all the links from that last page into the Etherboard so I can copy and paste them?
I'll figure out a way to do that. I'm not believe it or not, I'm not the most technologically adept person in the world, but I'll make sure that you have access to all of those. I'll get them in before the end of the meeting.
So sort of an important related question is, are you so obviously there's all the tools that I could, so I have a community college nearby that has reached out. So I'm at a 4-year, the community college has reached out to me and said, hey, we want to develop data pathways to go to your new 4-year degree. And I'm like, fantastic. And now I'm like, great, I can just be like, here, have fun, and we'll help you.
How do you get started is always the real question.
Well, actually what I was going to say was, this is obviously a great way to get started, but are you continuing to do more development and validate? Like, is there, besides the open support community, is there opportunities for community colleges that want to be engaged with this to continue to partner with this? Or is it that you guys have the tools set up and the documents set up, and now I just need to sit down with the people that
we're always interested
in work on it?
We're always interested in working with community colleges that are ready to start this process. And we do it in a lot of ways, like many of you know. Sometimes we partner in developing an ATE grant to help them get started. And the college gets the ATE grant, and we help them figure out how to use the tools and connect them with some of our other colleges that are already doing this, so that they have examples of what's worked and what hasn't worked and things like that. It's what I've liked about this. My role at EDC has always been, how do we figure out what expertise looks like in the workplace? Because it's not enough just to get people on the job. We want them to be successful when they get there. So we worked out this process to work with expert workers and have them clearly identify, what do you do on the job to make it successful? And that's what that profile is all about. All the other tools build off of that to help figure out, what are these tasks that your local industry needs, what needs to be added, how do you include them in your curriculum? Is your curriculum already doing that? Is it in a logical sequence? So this is just really exciting work. And we have a lot of partners across the country who are ready, willing, and able to talk with colleagues from community colleges who want to do this.
Yeah. And Betsy,
so on my to-do list this week is email people from the CC College and arrange for the next conversation about creating our pathways. So now I'm going to email you in addition to those two faculty and just CC all of you in.
If I don't get right back to you, just keep doing that, because every once in a while an email sort of slips through and I don't see it. So don't feel at all uncomfortable about contacting me until you get an answer, because we want to get an answer to you. This is really fun.
I'm going to let other people had questions, so I'm going to let other people ask their questions too. So before I ask more.
I have like 500 questions, but I'm going to try and not ask all 500 right now.
I'll let you ask a few, Betsy, and then I'll interrupt and ask more.
Okay. I'm very excited about this work. So we're running a program at Georgia Tech. It's funded from NSF on a Smart and Connected Communities grant. It's called DataWorks, and we're hiring young people from marginalized communities to be data workers. And I love that term, middle skill, because that's exactly what we're targeting. Some of them have like one of them has an associate degree, some of them have a year of college, some of them have none. And so this is amazing to me. I can't wait to read this report. One of the things I'm wondering is, like, what are some of the titles that are being used? Because we call them data wranglers.
That one of the things, when we do this work about figuring out expertise in the workplace, particularly around emerging occupations, one of the things we learned from our research with the German apprenticeship training model is something called a learning occupation or a training occupation, identifying a term that nobody else uses so that there's no baggage associated with it when you try to include it in your curriculum. So when we put this profile together, we called the people who came together, called it the data practitioner. So because that was a new term, but that data practitioner, if you look at the description of what that is, it includes data analysts, it includes data wranglers, different companies. When an emerging job is coming out, a new career is coming out, everybody calls it something different. You'll find any one of those, data analyzer, data wrangler, all of those things are what we find in the workplace. And if you contact us later and we connect you with some of our local community colleges, who've been working on this, they can share with you some of the terms that they come up with. But what we're looking for at this middle skill level is anyone who's part of a data team, not the data scientist. We do have another profile for that, but someone on the data team that doesn't do everything but does different pieces of work to be able to get the whole system moving.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. I'm excited to read the profile of the data practitioner. I also had a question. So we've had a challenge finding community college partners to work with. Some of this is a little bit of the weird politics in Georgia that we don't actually have community colleges. Everything's 4 years. The other thing is when I do find a partner to work with, they're not really interested in writing NSF grants because they can't do anything with the money. Like they can't pay their salary with NSF funds. They have to still teach. They can't buy out of classes. There's nothing that motivates them.
Why can't they buy out of classes? Some of our community colleges do. Is that a state issue?
It may be, yeah.
No.
I'm not. So is that what you're using the money for? Is to help them buy out of classes?
We're using the money for a number of different things. They can buy materials. They can support meetings where they bring together people in their college to be able to discuss this. They can support meetings with business partners. They can go to participate in professional development, attend courses, get training, buy software, have some upgrades. Some have used it for marketing a new data program. Anything that would support the development of a new data program and where NSF allows you to use monies to do that. And we have used the monies also to provide extra stipends for teachers, for faculty who are spending time on this outside of their regular duties as faculty members.
So you can do that sort of outside of the institution, like pay
Yes.
them as consultants or something.
Yes, we can do that actually,
Okay.
especially and because in the two projects that we have, we were the prime, so we were able to do those things. If the money goes direct, since I'm not part of the community college system, I don't know what kind of barriers they may have if they get the money directly. I have found that when we get the money, we can do things sometimes that they can't do.
Okay.
Because when colleges have to, if they get the money, they have to work within their system. When we get the money, they're sort of freed up to do things they sometimes can't do on their own.
Yeah, I mean, I just find they're not prepared to take NSF money, at least.
No, and I'll tell you one other thing that's very exciting, because all of this work, it builds, and you do something good and it builds again and it builds again. We started with the program that developed these tools. We then moved it to a mentoring program where the people who worked on these tools and developed their projects then took on other colleges to help mentor them in their process. And then we submitted, I think all of you probably saw the letter that went out a couple of years ago now about European study tours. And we got funded to do a European study tour and take our faculty partners to Europe to look at what they're doing around data analytics and training data workers. And particularly to look at what they're doing and bringing workers into industry and training them in industry, internships and work-based learning. So it's just a wonderful area of work to be involved in. This is why I taped I taped it, because I just get so excited about this work. I go on much too long. But I do want to mention one other thing that to me is really important that I've come to understand is people need to understand out there that having people develop data literacy and data fluency is an essential skill for everyone, not just people going into data analytics, but everyone who's going to be working in a world driven by technology, not only because data is always there, but because of things like AI and convergent technologies. Data is driving all of that. And if people want to get involved in any of those careers, they need to have a good, solid background and understanding of data. So we're hoping that not only to work with community colleges, but also to work with people in the K-8 system to help develop foundations of data literacy and fluency at that level. So we have a really strong data pathway starting at the beginning.
So Joyce, you have a request. If you can open the Etherpad, if you're willing to share your email address.
Sure, if I
so
can.
that people can.
Yes, so to do that, I go into chat.
Yeah,
and I
just go to
open the
chat.
Etherpad, yeah, I'll be happy to do that. As a
Click,
matter
and
of
you
fact,
post
I'm
it.
going to put 2 addresses in there just to make sure you're able to get in touch with someone from our organization. I'll put in mine, and then my very close associate who works with me on all of my data projects, and I'll put her, Sarah McGilfrey, who's also online, I believe, and I'll put her address in as well.
Thank
So
you.
let me do
Sorry, I'm
that.
just like, I'm excited about this as you are excited. And I'm like, I should draft this email and get all my put the context in before I forget about it and forget to make sure that we connect people to the correct resources.
Yeah, yeah, and you see that we put the Etherpad in there again, and also Betsy, since you're here at Georgia Tech, so we also have done some of these programs through the South Hub as well. That is mentorship programs. So like this idea of giving out grants to other institutions. So if there's like where Joyce was saying they act as the prime, we've done that before too. So like if there's support, you like if you go that route with some of the partners, if maybe they aren't ready, but you want to be able to support them, we also have kind of back office staff that we've done that before for external partners, because we have a lot of our seed grants we give away to the community, because the South Hub is 16 states. So it's all of our partners, you know, if they're in the states, Delaware through Texas, then we can help facilitate too. So it's just another option.
Great. If you have any community colleges or that type of school in Georgia that might be interested, love to connect. But yeah.
Yeah.
It's just been hard for me to find those partners. I maybe haven't tried hard enough. So that's on me.
Yeah. Georgia's a little bit of a weird beast too. So, but yeah, are there any other questions about either program? I had questions too, but I want to open up, make sure anyone else on the line. Okay. So I did have a question, and this is so one for you, Jamu, and then one for you, coming back, Joyce. But for the program that you did that was in the intersection of atmospheric science, how many people actually went through with you in deciding which pieces to include in those intersecting domains? How long did it take in the planning process to get outcomes, you know, at different levels? Like you had from faculty to undergraduate, so you know, that was a pretty broad range of expertise to include in one program, and so I'm just interested in the timeline for planning something like that.
To planning such activities, yeah, talking
Mhm.
about so we do it in the spring semester. So we start to advertise the opportunity, even including the Big Data Source Hub. I think
Oh,
we
not the actual program. I mean, how long did it take you to plan what to teach and how to put, yeah, the
yeah, I
planning
think
process.
this the similar timeline. We have the fall semester to plan, and I think this actually starting in spring, so we have the whole fall semester to plan out. We mostly it's the faculty and work with some help with RA students, and they give some feedback. And every year when we finish it, we get feedback from the participants. What's the things they like most, the things they want to know more. Then we adjust it the next years. So it takes like a few months to prepare, and we need to understand internally they are connected, so we can explain to the participants that they actually can be connected. Yes.
Nice, thank you. And Joyce, I had another question about the profile. So you're specifically working with schools that can adjust their programs, but do you do any work with, you know, how to fill those gaps for graduates that have already gone through the programs that they have on campuses? You know, so if there are recent graduates that have already gone through these programs and there may be gaps, like do you work with schools in any way to try and fill those kind of alumni look?
We haven't come across that issue yet, and there's been no one's asked us to do that. But there are certainly processes that are easy to use using these tools to be able to do that. You know, I've found the profile really helpful in a lot of different ways. Even, for example, having students go through as they're going out to their interviews to have them circle the tasks they know and use that specific language during the interview process, because that's the language that employers can relate to easily. You could adapt that process in the same way when you have, if you have graduates take a look at the profile and mark the things that they want to, or they don't know about, or they need to know more about, or they've encountered in the work and they have had difficulty addressing, as a way to be able to build a program, an individualized program for them, or a group program to help them catch up on those skills. So there are methods out there that are easy to use that can help address that issue.
That's great. And have you identified any way, I know the CISA you haven't done, but kind of modules or programs that do address these different skills that are,
you know,
available?
the thing is, each college puts includes these skills in different courses and programs. And some, if a college has already has some if a college already has some courses, they'll go through that curriculum analysis matrix and figure out which of these tasks is already included in the curriculum. And then if they find that there are just a couple of tasks that are not included that seem to be really important with the local employer community, they'll just integrate those tasks into some existing courses. But if they find there are a lot of tasks that are not addressed, they'll design and build new courses around those tasks to be able to better prepare their students.
Great. Okay. All right. Well, that's great. And now that you're in the Etherpad, if you want to put the links from your last slide in there too, I know people were interested in downloads, and we can still add, the slides.
Yep, I'll do that. Thanks.
So that you have it. Great, everyone. So I will let you know who has responded so far in these. And I think some of you are here, some people are here, some people aren't. But I wanted to go through who has signed up so far in the courses, and we'll put for the different sub-working groups so that you can expect an email. And what we were planning to do is organize maybe the first meeting so that you can decide who you want to be chair and how you want to meet going forward, and do that after, starting after this call. So the assessment group, the project-based teaching, let me put in the next one that someone put in as a additional topic, so that we can see if anyone wants to join that in the Etherpad, which is the one that was about curriculum development. That was a different one that was put in there. So if you're still interested in signing up for one of those groups, please fill out the form. What we'll do is probably a week after this, maybe in the 2 weeks, we'll try to set out a doodle poll to those that signed up to create a subgroup meeting for those that were interested in the different meetings. So those were program assessment, project-based teaching, and education resource directory, and if others sign up for this new topic. And we'll set up the first meeting so that you can kind of identify who will be the chair, how you want to meet, what frequency you want to meet, and kind of your outcomes. And then the groups would be able to meet independently and have times to report out on this time, like during this time at certain intervals, having the groups report out on progress, and what types of outputs you're discussing and doing. Okay. So right now, that's where we stand. And I told you the breakdown. Some people are here at the beginning. So the volunteer sign up form for the subgroups are in the shared. I'm going to share my screen. They're in the Etherpad right here. So you can still join a sub working group in the different areas, and you'll see the topics. And you can also forward this to others if you think they have projects that would be of interest that would help you on this call. That would then, we could have them as speakers in the fall for this group. So some of the topics that you're talking about now are the programs you're thinking of putting together. It'd be good to talk about them there. And lastly, this is the subcommittee chairs. So this is where we stand with and someone else responded. So this is where we stand with the different groups that people are interested in. And it looks like we have another topic that was put in. So these two are new topics. Break this is the curriculum development. Break the data science discipline and workflow, create subgroups for each component: data collection, data wrangling, data modeling, visualization, and mining. And then also workforce training or data tools for novices or middle skill workers. So this could be something that, if this is an area that you're interested in, looking at data workforce or curriculum development. So these two we'll put into the Etherpad. We'll send it out. And glad to see, with these groups that have more, more than 3 or more than 2 people in them, we'll send you a doodle poll so that you can all get together and we can pick a time for these subgroup meetings to start. All right. Well, that's what I had, guys. Did anyone else have anything else in the last 2 minutes, or we are close and on time? We can close here. I will stop sharing. All right. Well, enjoy your weekends. Thank you. It was really enjoyable. Thank you to both of our speakers. This was extremely helpful, and your programs, I think everyone's going to really enjoy and look at as examples. And we'll keep the Etherpads will be up, and the speakers will be up on our website. The YouTube recordings come up kind of a month lag. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Thanks, Carol. Thanks, Lauren. Rahana, nice to see you all. Thank you, Joyce. Thank everyone. All right. Thanks, Christina. I think it went well. We're going to stop.